Welcome back to the Alan Nathan Show, everybody. So if you listen to my show, the Silker Joe Show, in the past few weeks I had on someone to talk about America's position in the space race right now, with China kind of gaining up on us pretty quickly. And now an op-ed appeared in the Orlando Sentinel titled Nelson's First NASA Challenge, The Space Race with China. And the authors were Abby Paris and our current guest, Bob Weiner. Thank you for being on today. He's a Democratic strategist, columnist, and former communications director for Clinton Drug Czar General Barry McCaffrey.
Hi, Joseph, and thanks for having me, and thanks for featuring what I think is a very important message. We're on with a space race with China. It used to be Russia. It was Sputnik in 1957 when they embarrassed the heck out of us, and John Kennedy decided to commit the United States to a landing on the moon. And he got it done, not because it was easy, but because it was hard, as he said. Well, right now, China's eclipsing the you-know-what out of us. They've landed a rover on the moon. They've launched a space station. They've launched a rover on Mars. And they've got a shuttle. They've made an alliance with Russia on space technology. A new space race has begun.
And it's disturbing that the position that we're in right now, because we can't even really get back to the moon at this point. Our rockets, our past, 50 years of space focus has just been suborbital, basically the space stations. And it's to the point where even if we could find the blueprints for the big Saturn V's that got us to the moon, we can't even produce most of the components anymore. We didn't need all new factories for them.
That's right. We had the astronauts testify, it's not testify, they spoke at the National Press Club, and they said there's a lack of political will in the United States now. And the rest of the world is really, even the private sector is going up and down now. And it's just embarrassing to the country that we can't get it done, and that's science. It's very funny. We've got about 160, 180 UFOs flying around, and we don't know where they're from and who they're from, and if they're foreign, if they're debris from other countries that are flying satellites around, which is kind of what I think they are. But they show the back and forth and the motion, but we haven't got a clue. There's billions, as Carl Sagan used to say, billions and billions of stars and universes out there that are challenges to the science of the United States. And anybody who thinks that we're the only ones in the universe, I don't think that's the way the force of creation works, and nobody really thinks so. So for us to not have our heads in the sand is just outrageous, and America has always taken the lead on this. But China wants to be the biggest competitor with the biggest economy, and now they're building the biggest space discovery process. So that's why we put this into the Orlando Sentinel, because, the Kennedy space and program in Cape Canaveral and all of that down there, they're kind of the space newspaper. And Nelson, the senator from Florida, for 18 years, is now the head of NASA. And so that is the Nelson's first NASA challenge is the space race with China. And by the way, little P.S., we're getting beaten.
Mm-hmm. Now, well, actually,
it's been embarrassing. One point I want to make, and by the way, the piece was written by me and Abby Paris, who is one of our star interns, a college journalist out of William and Mary, and we're just being embarrassed by China on this whole process.
Mm-hmm. And I was about to mention that maybe us being embarrassed by China is the spur that we need, because our original space program was so far behind the Soviets until they launched Sputnik, and that's what got us going. And the whole thing was just a competition between us and the other superpower for dominance. And then our programs kind of fizzled out as the Soviet Union fizzled out. So now that we have another major geopolitical adversary again, maybe that's the kick that we need.
Well, that's exactly right. And space journalist Miles O'Brien said China wants no less than supremacy in space, and NASA's deputy administrator admitted it's true. Pam Elroy testified just this May in front of Congress. China has made their goals very clear to take away space superiority from the United States. I thought when, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind happened, and I watched it on TV. We were all glued to show my age, right? 52 years ago. It was the most amazing thing going on. And who would have thought that over 50 years after that, we've done nothing but a commuter shuttle up and down 200 miles to a space station. Who would have thought? And we backtracked. That's what we did after we landed on the moon. We backtracked. So science isn't supposed to go backwards. It's supposed to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that just had to do with overall the political situation, because we go to the moon, not really much there, not really much strategic value in staying there. So go back home and stick with suborbital stuff like the space shuttle, for example, which could be used to deliver nuclear weapons over the Soviet Union if needed to. Whereas if you got a base on the moon, it's a little far out there for such a thing.
Well, that's an argument, but the resources that are out in space are limitless, and they're going to be discovered, and they're going to have, nobody knows that we're the most advanced form of life. So now what we've got is we've got Elon Musk and all of that going out there. The private sector is kind of taking over. They realize what can be done. So it's crucial that NASA refocuses on making progress on Mars and beyond. We've got Elon Musk, as I said, SpaceX, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, and they all want to allow NASA to fund missions to Mars. They're going to be having humans going up as private sector astronauts. And Russia said that they might pull out of the International Space Station in favor of the Chinese Space Station to be completed in 2022. So the Director General of the Russian Space Agency, Roscosmos, said, we're planning to send our astronauts to the Chinese station. So I don't know. We've had a lot of strange technology, but you're right, Joseph. As Abby Paris and I wrote in the Orlando Sentinel, it's been all sides in the United States politics that have said that we got more important things to do, and I think that's a short-term true statement, but it's a long-term miscalculation.
I absolutely agree with that. There's so much so many things that we probably could have resolved if we successfully mined space. You colonize Mars, then we have vast gardens on Mars. That settles food and population questions we'd have right here on the planet. And technologies that we use to advance to other planets could be used for maybe solving domestic problems here.
That's right. But what we don't need is Star Wars, a space force to be able to fight Star Wars. The United Nations and world bodies have to jump in and make sure that the space stays peaceful. Otherwise, those movies we've been seeing are going to turn out to be true.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that it's going to stay peaceful. Already, both the United States and China have demonstrated the ability to shoot down satellites. I can't remember what the Chinese did, but I know what the U.S. did. We strapped a missile to an F-15 and then shot it from like the F-15's maximum altitude and blew up a satellite.
Well, I'm convinced. I don't know what your thoughts are or what our listeners' thoughts are, and it challenges the mind to think, but all that space stuff going on, I'm sure that it's stuff from China and Russia, and I'm sure it's satellite debris and stuff from us. I'm sure that's what all that stuff is, flying around space.
Unidentified flying object. Well, actually, maybe not, because going back at least to the 1940s, the U.S. government has been interested in investigating this stuff. They had Project Sign, then Project Blue Book, and then just kind of, I think in the mid-'60s, interest petered off. But certainly in 1947, when there was a huge rash of sightings right there by airline pilots, radars, and even the National Guard, that could not have been attributed to man-made objects up there.
Well, but their pictures are off. They always have these alien beings looking like they have angled heads and angled eyes and square mouths, and it's really quite amazing the look that they give to the foreign creatures.
Now that came a little afterwards. I'm not going to say that anyone's seen the creatures themselves, but definitely we have been seeing the stuff up in the sky. I find it actually hard to believe that
our leaders apparently have taken trips up there and then been brought back, and I think that's true for many people have said that they've taken the trips up and they've been beamed up, and beam me up, Scotty. I mean, what can I say, right?
Yeah, I think actually Jimmy Carter mentioned that he had seen something odd at one point.
That's kind of what I'm talking about, and And he only got one term out of it. Well, okay.
Yeah, so he had his sights set closer to Earth, right?
Scared about, I think malaise had something to do with it. I think maybe a little more malaise and losing the hostages and having them struggle for a year in Iran's custody. I think that may have had something to do with it. But
mm-hmm. Well, hopefully the Biden administration doesn't do a similar thing and lose the space race to China, because as much as that would be great for the Republican Party, it would also be horrible for the Republican Party because they're inheriting a country that's behind in the space race. So we should be rooting for everyone's success in this.
And that's the point of the article, and I really appreciate your bringing up the issue. And everybody can go to the Orlando Sentinel or to our website and check it out.
All right, Bob Weiner, thank you for being on to talk about that. But if you could stick with us through the break, we'd like to have you on for another segment.